Welcome to the new episode of the Management Unplugged by Garang Rathod. Okay, let's dive into some really interesting research you shared, focusing on something that feels, well, more critical than ever today. Quality. It's not just a box to tick anymore, is it?
No, not at all. It's really become vital for survival and success. The whole landscape has shifted.
How so?
Well, think about customer power now. And new tech means they can compare products, services, anything from anywhere, instantly. Global options right there.
And it's not just finding options, it's the information they have before buying.
Exactly. You've got your objective sources, sure, like consumer reports, JD Power, solid data.
Uh-huh.
But maybe even more powerful is, the crowd, Amazon reviews, Yelp, whatever. These are like real-time warnings. If something's wrong, people know.
Fast, and they don't keep it to themselves if they're unhappy.
Not a chance. Social media is basically a huge megaphone. The research actually cited that 26% of consumers use social media to air grievances.
Wow, over a quarter.
And it's not just BDC. 75% of B2B customers rely on word of mouth, and that includes social media chatter for buying decisions.
So that margin for error, it's pretty much gone.
It's shrunk dramatically.
Yeah.
Customers are informed, connected, and frankly, less tolerant of mistakes.
But the pressure isn't just external, right? Inside companies, too.
Absolutely. You've got these compressed cycle times in so many industries, faster, faster, faster.
Right.
Plus, think about post-Great Recession, output gains often outpaced hiring. So employees, they're stretched just trying to keep up.
Okay, so it's like a perfect storm. Intense external scrutiny, intense internal pressure.
Pretty much.
Which leads to the big question. Maybe the old ways of managing quality standard training, inspections, maybe bonuses, maybe they just aren't cutting it anymore.
That's precisely what the research dug into. With stakes this high, what really drives quality now? Is it still just rules and training, or is it something deeper?
And the answer seems to lean toward something deeper, right? Not just rules.
It does, strongly. The key seems to be cultivating a true culture of quality.
A true culture. What does that mean exactly?
It's not just following procedures. It's about quality being an intrinsic value, something employees sort of live, something they're passionate about personally.
So it's more ingrained.
Yeah, it's an environment where quality is just everywhere. Employees see it in colleagues' actions. They hear it discussed naturally. They feel that commitment. It's in the company DNA.
Okay, so how did the researchers figure this out? What was the scope?
It was pretty comprehensive. They did in-depth interviews with quality leaders at over 60 multinationals.
Wow.
Reviewed a ton of existing research, both academic and practitioner stuff. And importantly, surveyed over 850 employees across different roles, industries, levels, a real cross-section.
And you mentioned a surprise finding about those traditional methods.
Right.
Because instinctively you think training must help quality.
And it can, for specific tasks or compliance, sure, your gut's not wrong there. But the surprise was that many traditional strategies, monetary incentives, standard training, even sharing best practices, they actually showed little effect on building that deeper culture of quality.
Little effect.
For the culture part, yeah. They support rules, but they don't seem to ignite that shared value, that passion.
Huh. So you could be spending a lot on things that don't actually build the mindset. If those aren't the main drivers for culture, what did work?
The biggest differentiator. Companies that took a more grassroots, peer-driven approach. They were much more successful at building that deep quality culture.
Peer-driven, so less top-down.
Exactly. More about how quality is reinforced horizontally, colleague to colleague.
Is this common now? Are most companies nailing this peer approach?
The research suggests. Not really. There's a big gap. About 60% of employees surveyed felt they didn't work in a place with a true quality culture.
60%, that's a lot.
Yeah, especially concerning peer involvement. So huge potential, but most places aren't there yet.
And getting there isn't just a nice to have, it hits the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the business case. The numbers were pretty eye-opening.
Oh, absolutely. Companies that build this culture gain a serious competitive edge, and the research put hard numbers on it.
Like what? Fewer mistakes?
Dramatically fewer. Employees in companies in the top quintile for quality culture reported dealing with 46% fewer mistakes daily compared to those in the bottom quintile.
46%, that's huge. How does that translate to cost?
They did the math. Average time to fix a mistake, about 2 hours.
Okay.
Median hourly wage in the study was $42.55. So for a typical bottom quintile firm, say 26,300 employees, The cost of just fixing errors is nearly $774 million a year.
$774 million, just fixing mistakes.
Yep. Now compare that to a top quintile firm, same size. They spend $350 million less on fixing errors.
$350 million less. Wow.
That's the power of the culture. Hundreds of millions saved. It's not just satisfaction, it's massive efficiency.
Okay, the case is clear. That's undeniable.
It really is. They even gave a rule of thumb. For every 5,000 employees, moving from bottom to top quintile on quality culture saves about $67 million a year.
Incredible ROI. So the why is compelling. The what a true quality culture is defined. Traditional methods aren't enough. So how do you actually build it? What are the essential elements?
The research found 4 key factors, and interestingly, the data showed most companies are underperforming on all 4.
All 4.
Yeah, like nearly half felt leadership emphasis was lacking. Only 10% found quality messages credible. Just 38% saw high peer involvement, and only 20% felt high employee ownership.
Oh.
So these are the levers and the big opportunities.
Okay, let's break them down. Element number 1.
Number 1 is leadership emphasis. And this isn't just saying quality matters. It's managers being told it's a priority, leaders actually walking the talk in their decisions, bosses emphasizing quality and performance evaluations, consistent messaging and action.
What's the tricky part? Leaders always talk about quality.
The challenge is the gap between talk and walk. If leaders say quality first but then rush things, cut corners.
Or if managers push speed over quality in reviews, that sends a mixed message. Employees see what's really valued. It kills credibility.
So how do you bridge that? The research mentioned Seagate.
Yeah, Seagate, the data storage company. They tackled it head-on with leadership engagement programs. Not just training, but ways for execs to see where their own actions might clash with the ideal quality culture.
How'd that work?
They defined the ideal culture and behaviors, then gathered employee feedback on the gaps between that ideal and reality.
Okay.
Then leaders went through workshops, simulations, realistic scenarios where they had to make trade-offs. It forced them to see how their usual decisions might actually undermine quality, made it concrete.
So it wasn't just theory, it was seeing their own behavior.
Exactly. It built real awareness and buy-in at the top.
Yeah.
One exec said that exec participation was the most important factor. Their visible commitment led to real improvements in quality metrics.
That's powerful. Leaders living it, not just saying it. Okay, element 2. Element 2. Message credibility. It's simple. Do employees actually believe the message is about quality?
Oh.
Does it come from someone respected? Does it resonate personally? Is it consistent? Easy to grasp?
And the challenge here is
Wasted effort, basically.
Oh.
Companies launch campaigns, but if employees don't trust it, don't see how it applies to them, or find it confusing, it just falls flat. No credibility, no impact.
How did Diageo manage this? Big company, lots of locations.
Right. Diageo, 21,000 employees globally. Huge challenge. They realized one message wouldn't fit all. So they figured out what actually motivated different employee groups.
Different motivations.
Yeah, they segmented their workforce into 4 groups based on what drives hard work for them. Then tailored quality messages.
Smart. Like what?
Well, for some, the message might focus on reducing waste, avoiding rework hassle. For others, maybe pride in customer satisfaction or company reputation. Make it personal.
And making it land locally.
They let local managers choose the campaign message that fit their site best. That local tailoring really boosted resonance and credibility.
Tailoring the message makes total sense. And keeping it fresh.
Crucial. Quality messaging isn't one and done. You need to refresh it, test it, get feedback, make sure it stays relevant and believable over time.
Okay, leadership sets the tone, messages are believed. What's element 3?
Element 3, peer involvement. This is about those informal networks. Colleagues discussing quality normally, guiding each other, and this is key, holding each other accountable, like a sports team.
Peer accountability. Sounds powerful, but
Sometimes.
maybe awkward. What's the challenge?
It is tricky, a real balancing act for managers. Push too hard, trying to orchestrate it, feels fake, kills the grassroots vibe.
Right.
But provide too little support. You miss chances to help those networks form and grow. You need to enable it, not force it.
So how did HGST Hitachi Global Storage get this right?
HGST used positive social pressure, collective pride. They didn't just tell people to talk quality, they made it visible. Put up posters showing employee ideas for quality improvements in busy areas.
Celebrating contributions publicly.
Exactly. Not shaming, celebrating. And when managers reviewed projects, they highlighted not just the business impact, but also the team's enthusiasm and collaboration, signaled that the effort and teamwork mattered.
Nice touch. And they had competitions.
Yeah, friendly quality competitions between teams. Tapped into collective pride, not just cash rewards. Built team commitment.
And did it work?
According to an exec there who was initially skeptical, it genuinely created a real sense of pride in work. When quality is something you share and discuss with peers, it sticks much better than just a top-down order.
That makes sense. Okay, final element, number 4.
Number 4, employee ownership. This means workers clearly see how quality fits their job. They feel empowered to make quality decisions. And crucially, they feel safe raising concerns, even challenging things that might hurt quality.
Feeling safe to challenge.
Yeah.
That sounds like the toughest part. What's the main hurdle?
It's finding the right level of guidance. Too rigid, too much micromanagement. You stifle judgment, especially for things not in the rule book. Too little guidance. People are unclear on their authority, how to decide, how to raise issues. The key is employees feeling they can use their judgment beyond the rules.
How did Wrigley handle this balance?
Wrigley focused on clarity without being too restrictive. They had quality and action guidelines, sure, but they focused accountability on a short list of really critical quality opportunities, maybe a dozen key things per function daily, called them quality accountabilities.
To focus on the critical few.
Exactly. And they deliberately created chances for employees to see and recognize good quality actions outside those guidelines. Showed it wasn't just about metrics, but also judgment and initiative.
Right.
They also pulled employees into problem solving, group brainstorming for root causes, identifying fixes together.
Makes them part of the solution, not just the problem. Fosters ownership directly.
Precisely. It becomes their quality, their success.
So those are the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
Leadership emphasis, message credibility, peer involvement, employee ownership. It's clearly not a quick fix, but the payoff cost savings, competitive edge, seems huge.
Absolutely huge. And while the specific actions will vary by company, the first step is the same for everyone. Leaders deciding this culture is worth the effort. The research proves the value is there.
And it asks something different from employees, doesn't it? More than just following instructions.
It really does. It asks them to apply skills, judgment, knowledge, often in ambiguous spots. It pushes deeper thinking about risks, payoffs. That drives engagement.
Which, going back to the start, is essential now. Empowered customers, instant information, low tolerance for error.
Exactly. A workforce that doesn't just comply, but truly lives quality, seeing it, hearing it, feeling it. That's maybe the ultimate sustainable advantage today.
So let's wrap this deep dive. In today's high-stakes world, quality is paramount. This research shows traditional tools often miss the mark for building the culture needed. That true culture rests on 4 pillars: leadership, walking the talk, credible messages, active peer involvement, and genuine employee ownership. Nailing this means fewer mistakes, massive cost savings, potentially hundreds of millions, and a real competitive edge. It's about embedding quality, not just checking boxes.
It's a fundamental shift, really, driven by behavior at every level.
So thinking about your own organization, where do you see these elements? Where are the strengths? And maybe where are the opportunities to boost leadership emphasis, message credibility, peer involvement, or employee ownership?
And here's a final thought. If this true culture needs employees to use judgment, to sometimes step outside the rule book, what does that really mean for how we hire, train, and empower our people going forward? Are we building teams ready for that kind of ownership?
Bye-bye. See you later.